The movie begins in 1976. Gary, a bus driver in Djibouti, picks up the students who are headed to school. Gary is greeted by Louise, one of the kids with her typically cheery smile. Some of the children are having fun on the bus, while others are quiet and reserved. The driver is about to move forward when an African man named Barkad, brandishing a pistol, motions for Gary to stop the bus and points the weapon at his waist. A group of African males who were getting on the bus were among those who were declared to be hijacked. The father of a child riding the bus realizes what is happening and begins to holler at the moving car. Conversely, Jane, the child educator, is preparing for her lesson. When she eventually arrives in the classroom after a protracted wait, she queries why the kids haven't arrived yet. To ascertain the number of pupils who were still missing from her lesson, she strolled over to the adjacent classroom. 4 is the response given by the opposing teacher. However, she's missing all of her students. Gary is still driving the bus as instructed by Barkad. When a student asks Barkad whether they're still going to school, Barkad hits him in the face, causing him to bleed. This time, Barkad gets enraged and orders everyone to remain seated and be quiet. Otherwise, Barkad will kill everyone who makes an effort to create a disturbance. Gary looks in the rearview mirror and sees a military person in the car behind them. As he opens his phone to ask for help, Barkad threatens to shoot him if he doesn't hurry. Barkad is pressuring Gary to go more quickly. The youngsters get even more terrified when the hijacker starts shooting at the automobile behind them from the back of the bus. Gary quickens his pace in an attempt to outrun the following car. Border guards are instructed to close the border by the military. The bus is stopped by the border guards shooting at it with a stinger, causing it to wobble and tumble. Gary tries to start the engine, but it refuses to start. Barkad is already furious that the nation's frontiers have been sealed off. While pointing a gun at Gary, Barkad commands him to leave his seat and informs the military that there are hostages on board the bus. On the other hand, the news is sent to the French authorities. Despite being in the hospital with his daughter, who is recovering from appendicitis surgery with his wife, Andra, a member of a special task team, is summoned to assist the rescue effort. Other members of the special task team, including Andra, are now on their way to Djibouti for the operation. Lorca displays a ring that he plans to present to his girlfriend as soon as the mission is complete to propose. So, because Pierre isn't interested, Lorca retains the ring and hangs out with the group's other members. Lorca asks Georges if he has been to Africa and what it is like. Similarly hot, Georges says in response to Lorca's question. A commercial plane will then carry them away. Jane, on the other hand, is informed about her students. She rushed to the location of the hostages and offered to begin negotiations with the hijackers. In response to the captain's question about her identity, she explains that she is the hostages' teacher. A general comes at the site, forcing Jane to leave the captain. Sneaking out, she approaches the bus. The captain tried to get her attention, but it was too late. She had already lost her bearings. There are now 22 hostages, including the teacher, in the situation. A hostage has been taken captive along with the hijackers, just as Jane is about to board the bus. Jane is told to back off by Barkad. As the hostage's teacher, Jane identifies herself as an American and explains that she is not French. She insists on accompanying her students on the bus. Barkad eventually agrees. As soon as Jane gets on the bus, she approaches the student to inquire about his whereabouts. She also inquires as to if anybody is hungry or needs to go to the bathroom. All hands are raised. After reaching Djibouti, the French Special Task Team prepares for its mission. They are traveling in a 4-wheel drive military vehicle to the captive's location. When night falls, rescue crews still haven't managed to apprehend Barkad. Jane looks after the health and welfare of the students. Bernard, the young man Barkad struck in the face, is seen by Jane as she examines each student. After seeing what they did, Jane confronts Bernard's attacker about it. Barkad assures Jane that the kid will get through this, but Jane insists on releasing the kid to get him some medicine. Instead, Jane is threatened by Barkad, who points a gun at her chest and threatens her life. Jane follows Barkad's instructions and returns to the bus. At the hostage location, the French Special Task Force arrives. They are greeted by the general, who inquires as to the team's captain. Andrew introduced himself, and the other members of the Special Task Team were taken to their quarters. Ander is asked by the general whether he is the son of Colonel Gervil. In response to Ander's reply, the general begins to inquire about the whereabouts of Ander's father. His father passed away last year, and Ander notifies the general of this fact. Ander and his colleagues return to their quarters after loading their weapons. On the same night, the general and Ander prepare their rescue mission for the students. Ander has to find a safe location for the snipers and weaponry in case the hijackers make any dangerous movements. Ander inquires about the background of the hijacker. According to the general, this rebel group wants Djibouti to return to Somalia. An ultimatum has been issued by the hijackers on their request for them. If they don't receive what they want, they will kill the students 24 hours before sundown. The general had been informed by one of the guards about the movement within the bus. His binoculars are trained on the bus. The general has noticed that the hijackers appear to be getting ready for an event. Seeing as time is running out, the rescue squad takes action. Ander gives his team orders to be prepared to counter any threat at any moment. While Ander and the captain survey the area for a safe place to set their guns and hide, Philip and Lorca are in position with their snipers on the field. Ander, on the other hand, turned away from the captain and headed for the bus. When Jane asks the hijackers if she may go outside to relieve herself, one of them guides her. Ander's appearance shocks Jane, but he instructs her to remain silent. Before the hijacker gets to the rear, Jane lies and says it was only a snake. The military squad shines massive lights at the bus just as Jane returns to the vehicle, causing Ander to reveal himself to the hijackers. Ander heads straight for the quarters right away. Pierre and Georges inspect the camp and demand that the lights be turned off. Their identity as members of a French special task unit was revealed when the guards inquired. Georges is referred to as an old faggot by the guards, who disregard their orders. As soon as the guards accuse the two of being rebels, one of them slaps Georges across the face with a fist. As Lieutenant Pierre explains his situation to the French military, the guard is skeptical. Georges regains his composure after the blow and assaults the guard. The general is approached by Ander regarding the lights, but he won't accept it. The general tells them that it is difficult to pinpoint a specific spot, and that the landscape is flat when they inquire about his evaluation of the area. The general immediately questions Ander's impractical plan of action. The general should adopt Ander's strategy, as it is the best. Jane isn't paying attention as Barkin approaches her as she is smoking a cigarette outside the bus. Jane questions her about her motivations, but she withholds all information. According to Barkin, a decent girl like her has no place in Somalia. For as long as her students remain imprisoned, Jane will be at their side. Jane learns from Barkin that he used to work as a teacher. Ander returns to the quarters to share the details of the strategy he and the general discussed. Once the bullets are loaded into their weapons, they are ready to go on the attack. For a phone call from Paris, one of the guards summons Ander. French Special Task Force Commandant Michel instructs Ander to delay the hijackers' attack. To negotiate with the Somalian hijackers, they must adhere to diplomatic protocol, despite her desire to terminate the hostage situation quickly. For the time being, Michel tells Ander and the general to keep their lines open in case they get another signal. Despite Michel's instructions to put the mission on hold, Ander and his team went forward with their plan the next day. They carry out the strategy they had planned the night before. Ander tells his team to hold their positions until he receives the go-ahead to begin firing at the designated targets. They patiently wait for instructions from Paris despite the heat. They're keeping an eye on what's going on inside the bus. Soldiers distribute meals to the students and attempt to convince Barkin to compromise. Barring that, Jane instructs Barkin to at the very least free Bernard, the injured student. Barkin defies the soldier's command to put down his weapon. Jane tells the pupils to cover their ears in an effort to calm them down. The others in the group immediately join in. Barkin shoots the soldier instead of following the soldier's commands. He is promptly taken back to his lodgings. There is a dispute among Ander and his group on the responsibility for the hijackers' unsuccessful gunfire response. However, Jane informs Barkin that Bernard's health is getting worse. Barkin merely laughs, despite the fact that his infection requires medical attention. An additional Somalian rebel comes to notify Barkin that the bus is on its way, and the kids will be escorted off the bus. Ander and his team are resting after tracking movement. He returned to the general's quarters to discuss and get some food and drink. Andrew was stunned when the general asked the mission be withdrawn. They wouldn't have issued order if Paris had intentions before the soldier was shot. Andrew informs the general his squad has 3 to 4 hours left. If they don't act, the hijackers will abduct the kids. Jane and Bernard come as the general, Andrew, and another potential sniffer are conversing. The hijackers let them go to heal Bernard's wound. They are given water and medicine. Andrew begins questioning Jane about the hijackers' agenda and weaponry. She told them the hijackers would transport them to Somalia at night. So Andrew tells Jane about their plan to evacuate the students. Andrew's squad is back to monitor the bus's progress. To assist the students, including the hijackers, Jane went back to the bus. Andrew is well positioned to continue. They have to move fast since Barkin will have more hijackers to help with the student transfer. Before firing, the team starts reciting the code, but everyone has to be able to see their target clearly. The hijackers are about to be hit by a bus. When Andrew asks the general over the radio for a shooting order, he declines. Without orders, he informed Andrew, firing at the target was an act of war. Andrew brings up the issue with his squad. He claims that the hijackers are getting ready to depart for Somalia as night falls. Trying to rescue the kids is risky for Andrew. The rest of the team agrees and begins. Andrew tells the general to inform all forces. Andrew resets the code from 5 to 0. In a flash, 5 guys, including Barkin, are dead. There are still hijackers, and they saw the movement, but they still don't know where the shots are coming from. Jane awakens the students and prepares to transport them. Despite Andrew's early success, the hijackers' allies are planning retribution. They were seen and attacked. The gunshots have Jane and her students scared. Andrew tells his soldiers to only shoot armed men. The war has begun. Pierre, Georges, and Lorca are heading to the bus to join Jane and the students. Andrew and Philip also cover them. The gunfire has ceased and rescue comes. This left Jane and other French Special Forces members behind. They believed they had saved all the students, but George looked down and saw Louise bleeding. Andrew, Jane, and the rest of the team groan for their loss. The movie ends with all the injured individuals from the 15 minutes duration of the war has given first aid back in the quarters. The general announced that the mission was a success. However, Andrew disagrees due to one student's death. Meanwhile, other students reunite with their parents. Thanks for watching.